Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission regular meeting on Monday, November 15th, 2021. We're just a few minutes past 5 p.m. local time, but we're ready to move forward. We are in the Common Council chambers in Michigan City. I'd like to call this meeting to order with a roll call. Tom Domkowski. Here. Angie Nelson Deitch. Michael Mack. Here. John Hendricks.
Here.
Ken Barron. Chris Chatfield. Here. And those are in no particular order. Next on the agenda, the approval of the minutes of the 2/12. That's not right. Yeah, I'm sorry. What am I looking at? Yeah.
I'm sorry,
10:13 executive session. And we can probably do the 10:31-21 regular meeting as well. Any corrections, deletions, or additions to those minutes?
Move to adopt.
Second. Having a first and a second, do I have any comment on either? Having none, I would call for a roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barron.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield. Aye. Motion passes. Approval of claims. Mr. York. Mr. York. That's right. Okay. All right. Let's back up to number 3. There was an executive session meeting 2/12/21 that we did not approve those.
Somehow they
didn't get approved. So I'd ask for a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Thank you. Any commentary on those executive session minutes? Hearing none, I'll go through the roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barron.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield, aye. Motion passes for the 2/12/21 executive session. So just to be clear, we approve the 2/21/21, the 10/31/21 executive sessions, and also the 10/13 executive and 10/13 regular meeting minutes. Next is approval of claims for November 15th, 2021.
These are the claims for November 15th, 2021. Our October 2021 claims, we had payroll for CDBG, reimbursables, staff, and commissioners. Out of our operating fund, we had Great American Financial for year-end copier fees. We had Saranac Law Offices for monthly retainer for September 2021. Out of the North TIF Fund, we had Arcadis for our Singing Sands Trail oversight at Waste Inc. site. It's the pay 8, the final pay. Butler Fairman Seifert for engineering services for Singing Sands Trail, 6/7/21 to 9/30/21. Department of Waterworks for utilities at 1215 East 2nd Street. HDR for station block TOD modifications. Neighborhood Capital Institute for adjustment to service charge. Neighborhood Capital Institute for development of advisory services, and Neighborhood Capital Institute for contractual services for the station block, October and September 2021. We had NIPSCO for utilities at 1215 East 2nd Street, PR's Lawn Care, landscape maintenance for October 2021 North TIF parcels, Saranac Law Offices for legal services in the North TIF, Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services for 8th Street, Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services for the Transit Center, Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services for You Are Beautiful site. In the South TIF, we had DLZ for professional services in the South TIF Connectivity Project, Haas and Associates for engineering services for the South TIF Connectivity Project, PR Lawn Care for landscape maintenance for October 2021 and South TIF parcels, Reith Riley for the Cleveland Avenue Reconstruction Project, and Saranac Law Offices for legal services in the South TIF October 2021.
Move we approve the claims.
Second.
Having a first and a second. Roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barrett.
Aye.
And Chris Chatfield, aye. Motion passes. Next is the approval of financial report for September 30, 2020.
This is the balance sheet for 9/30/2021. Cash in operating account, we have $173,538.40. In the South Side TIF account, we have $8,067,089.27. Southside TIF debt reserve account, we have $336,056.81. Southside TIF capital account, we have $16,983.89. In the North End TIF account, we have $3,690,907.34. In the Northeast TIF account, we have $112,215.85. Loans receivable, we have a loan to the East Side TIF from operating account for $21,028.49. We have a county business loan fund for $133,333.00 for total assets of $12,551,153.05.
I move for approval.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second on the approval of the financial report for September 30, 2021. Roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barrett.
Aye.
And Chris Chatfield, aye. The motion passes. Next on the agenda, facade grant request for reimbursement, 425 East 2nd Street. Mr. York.
Yes, tonight we'll be joined by our new assistant city planner or assistant planning director. Sorry. His name is Aaron Borngraver. So it's also an opportunity for me to introduce you to him. He's going to be giving our facade reimbursement. And also we had one come in today for an extension. They're having a little bit of a difficulty to getting bids. So go ahead.
Good evening, Aaron Borngraver, Assistant Planning Director. One of the requests today is for 425 East 2nd Street, which is reimbursement of $30,000. That would be the maximum allowed under the program. Staff is recommending approval of that reimbursement for one payment.
Are there any? Go ahead, Scott.
I would just add that this was an extension during the COVID time. They requested an extension, and we granted that extension, and they have finished this project now. So,
Are there any questions for Aaron? That was a pretty easy first one, wasn't it?
Yes.
I move for approval.
All right, having a first, do I have a second?
A second.
Good. Having a first and a second. Any comments from the commissioners? Hearing none. We'll go through the roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barrett.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield. Aye. The facade grant for 425 East 2nd Street has been approved. Very nice job.
Thank you.
And then you have the second one.
Yes. So this is for a request for extension for 904 to 906 Franklin Street. This was received today. So the request is handed to you at today's meeting. And they're just requesting a 6-month extension due to a combination of issues with contractors being available to do the work as well as availability of materials. So that extension would bring it out to be completed by June 13th, 2022, actually.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So I know it's because of contractors and availability, but I know there's still a backup. Is that long enough? Do they have somebody in mind, or do you know?
they didn't give us that information. I just said, can we at least get a time frame on it? That's what they gave us, but we could always they can always come back to us
Yeah.
if they need to. I'm hoping that maybe when the winter comes, somebody will take it and prepare for, spring, maybe. So that's what they requested.
Okay. I move for approval.
I second that.
Any comments from the commission? My only comment would be that we need to make sure that the staff recommendation completed by June 13th, 2022.
Yes.
It says 21 on the bottom. Am I
Yes.
correct about that?
Correct.
All right.
Another year almost.
That's another year. No worries. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Go for a roll call. Reggie Nelson-Dyke.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barrett.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield, aye. Approve the extension of 904 to 906 Franklin Street through June 13th of 2022.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Next on the agenda, Southside TIF connectivity improvements update. We have Haas Associates on the line.
Hey, Ryan.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have a major update for you today, but I can update you on my correspondence with Aaron. He has taken over sort of responsibility for the project on the RDC's side of things since we last spoke, and he conveyed to me the RDC's interest in moving some parts of this project into sort of a separate sub-project to be constructed in spring of 2022. Those components would be the sidewalk along Westwind Drive, the sidewalk along Highway 421, and the pedestrian crossing at Larkspur Lane and Highway 421. And I informed Aaron via email that that seems pretty feasible, with the caveat that the land for the sidewalk on 421 is privately owned, and access and use easements or land acquisition for that area would have to occur before the project could be bid. And the pedestrian improvements at the intersection require an NDOT permit, which requires the plans to be essentially completed before they would look at a permit. As far as Westwind Drive is concerned, there's really not anything standing in the way of that being constructed in the spring, as the planned location for that sidewalk is within the public right-of-way, and we're not anticipating any special permits or land acquisition needed for that area. So assuming the access rights can be secured for the land on Highway 421 and a permit can be secured for the work on the pedestrian crossing, those components of the project could be accelerated to be constructed in the spring of 2022. The remaining portions of the project, I think, are heavily reliant on the land acquisitions required for the project, and to date, I haven't received any notification of the receipt of any such access authorization or the receipt of any easements or land transactions. So we're still working on the preliminary design of these various features, but we'll prioritize those three components that I just described for construction in spring.
Ryan, thanks. Any,
Aaron, you got anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. I was just going to say, Aaron's going to take over kind of managing as a project manager. Some of the things that we were talking about, Ryan, that just more low-hanging fruit things. We talked about it kind of one of our last meetings was, the streets are a big lift, but we could go ahead and get some of these other things started and on the way, permitting wise and sidewalks and painting of striping, things that we can do right now that really would make movement, especially pedestrian movement in the south end, a little bit easier.
Any questions for Ryan or Skylar or Aaron at this point? Okay, so no action this evening really on this connectivity improvement update. So Ryan, thank you so much. Aaron, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda, the Peanut Bridge deck replacement funding approval. And I think we have our
city engineer tonight, Mr. Jeff Wright, and I've asked him to kind of give us a rundown. I know it's something we put on here, but there's some opportunity that exists right now, and I'm going to have him go through that with us.
Jeff Wright, I'm the city engineer. I have handouts if I can. So earlier in the summer, I don't remember when, Skylar wanted to go look at trails, and so we looked at trails, drove around. Says, I want to show you one more piece of trail we would like to have to get done. And so we drove back in from US 12 back to the Peanut Bridge, took a look at it. And he explained basically all the elements that he wanted and or that a trail should have. And so I volunteered city services to throw those on a set of drawings. And what you're looking at is essentially the Cadillac version of everything that we thought should be part of, the ultimate final completed construction. And I took those drawings and gave them to Reith Riley for a reaction, to give us a reaction on what the cost would be. And that cost came back almost double what we thought it should be. It was on the order of $360,000 to do what's contemplated on those drawings. And so we said, boy, that's more money than we want to spend to get it done. So we did value engineering on it. We started scaling stuff back. We said, take this out, take this out, take that out. Ultimately, the bottom line, what you really want at the very bottom, is the asphalt, the stone, and a nice, facility to get, down through there. So we trimmed out some of the stuff. They came back with another price of about $245,000. And we still thought that that's still too high, given the value wasn't matching what what we thought the scope of the project would be financially. So we trimmed it back, but we noticed in their quote that they had $10,000 in their quote to buy the wood to replace the wood deck boards on Peanut Bridge. Now, all things being equal, $10,000 is a fantastic price. And according to Indiana code, and I'm not the attorney, but when prices like that come before governmental agencies, I would have thought, Skylar would have had the authority to go ahead and make that purchase, because you're not going to get that price anywhere else. You're just not going to beat that price. But he didn't. We waited. And so ultimately, the Reith Riley price to purchase the boards and install those boards was on the order of $80,000. Schaffner, we sent it over to Schaffner to install the boards, and they're coming back at something like $60,000. And we sent it out to another smaller mom and pop operation, and they're at $40,000. So to purchase the boards stained with linseed oil preservative and installed by John Kine Property Services, that total project just to do the bridge part and replace the boards is 40 plus the 10 to buy the boards. And so that would be a $50,000 price tag. So that's kind of a synopsis of where we were, how I got to the podium tonight. And if you guys are agreeable, you can approve that and I can go get it done. I mean, if that's the desire of the commission. I would say this though, if the real price was something like $360,000, typical engineering fees would be 10% of that. And then another 10%, you guys are familiar, for a construction inspection. I mean, if you did the simple math on that, that's something around $72,000. So I would present it that you're getting the bridge for nothing because we did that, okay? Now, it might not be on a project like that, actually 10% and 10%, maybe, but ballparking, okay? So you're going to pony up to 50 grand, but you're really not. So that I'm open for questions at that.
I don't have any questions. I was going to make a motion.
When could they complete this? What time frame are we looking at?
I told them to be done before they started people wanted to ride the bikes again in the spring. So I'm assuming they'll get on it. It takes, so once the boards are starting to be fabricated, they have to make the boards, they have to dry them. That'll take a couple of weeks to dry the boards out, get them stained, get them delivered. I'm assuming they'll get pre-drilled. They're 2.5 inches thick boards. They're a very impressive board. Probably pre-drill them. It'll take some time to do that, get them delivered. So I don't have a construction schedule, but I told them, I says before spring, we want to have it done.
Does the 40,000 include removal of the old boards?
Yes.
And all the hardware, put the new boards?
Yes, everything. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of an opportunity right now because we're in the kind of down season too, and we didn't just want to buy the boards and let them sit there and potentially not get them on. And it's an opportunity for us.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. That portion of the project.
And I don't know if you've ridden on the bridge. It's not where you're going to fall through the bridge, but there's a lot of popping up wood right now just because of all the elements, and hasn't been used. It dead ended on the other side, so it wasn't like it was a through trail. Now we have a through trail where you're going over top of it, traversing it, and keeping on going both ways. So it's getting on much more use. So,
as a final note, I think if we keep chipping away at it, smaller chunks rather than the large project, we're going to come in less than 200,000 to get it done that way. We would involve central services for some of it. They can do, they can do some of the work there, some of the clearing, spreading some of the stuff, getting rid of some of the stuff on site that we can do.
I move for approval of the $50,000 for the project, Peanut Bridge project.
second.
Any additional comments from the commissioners? Jeff, thanks.
Are there any contingencies we need to be aware of?
Not that we're aware of.
I mean, is 50 enough? Is 50 enough with contingencies, or?
I would say approve the 50, and if there was some unforeseen that was a real job stopper, I would come back, maybe ask maybe that, unless you want to add some money, but just, I would say, I recommend you just approve the 50.
All right.
Yeah.
I agree.
We have Jeff too. He can go out and kind of monitor and kind of see where they're at. He meets with them,
Yeah, I'm your representative
Yeah.
on the jobs.
keeping them. He'll be kind of the on site, if you will. Not if you're going to be there every day, but
Right.
Jeff, thanks so much. Any other questions from the commissioners? Right, having a first and a second, go through the roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks. Ken Barrett.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield. Aye. The ayes have it. Jeff, thanks for your help. Appreciate your hard work on this project for us and saving us taxpayer dollars. I like it. Yeah, that's fine. Next on the agenda, 1215 East 2nd Street update and approval. I'll just go right to Skylar and then we'll make a quick introduction.
So this has been on our agenda for a while. We haven't really been able to make a move. I want to assure everyone that we've been diligently working on this project. Myself have been working on it for a while, and I know we've spent, and it's not, it's taken a lot of lifting to get here and really come up with this project. It's a wonderful project, but I want to introduce the project tonight. Tonight, the project is we own a building at 1215 East 2nd Street. We've owned it for maybe 4 years now, about 4 years, going on 4 years. Originally, you may recall that we've been paying the utilities there and we've been paying the water and electric there. I'm ready to hand it off and let someone else pay that utility. But tonight we have an opportunity for to really help a hometown business expand. And it's a great project. It's good for that neighborhood. It's really good for the Highway 12 corridor as a new corridor into our city. And we've been working diligently to clean up that corridor. This just adds to that. But tonight before us, we have representatives from Burnham Brewery. And I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Steve Murray right now. And I'm going to let him go over the project. I want him to introduce his colleagues. And the project is an expansion of their current facility and a new location.
All right. Skylar, thank you very much. I'm going to drop this so you guys can hear me better. So as Skylar said, I'm Steve Murray from Burnham. I'm one of the owners and founders here. Behind me here are the other owners and founders of Burnham. Got my brother Blake. He operates our restaurant in LaPorte that we started a couple of years ago, small restaurant we had. In the back here, Matt Zakreski runs our sales and distribution of our team. Howie Wiesjohn, he's in the brewery side with us, and then Daniel Mosier too, back in the brewery with us too. So appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us here. Let's see. For those of you that don't know anything about Burnham Brewing, we were founded and incorporated back in February of 2013, and we opened up a year later after doing construction pretty much all on our own in the building with a couple contractors that helped us out in June of 2014 for keg distribution only. And then about 1 year later, after doing that, getting our name out with just the keg distribution, we ended up opening to the public to have a tasting room in May of 2015. We started out first as to-go only with no drinking on site because of our small space and our limited capabilities there. We took time to actually remodel the front of the building and have introduced this tiny tasting room with a couple patios. So we got that going, and then towards the beginning of 2016, end of 2015, we started actually bringing in a mobile canner, canning our product, and increasing our distribution by adding liquor stores to our repertoire, as well as the bars and restaurants that we were putting kegs out to. So we grew up here in Michigan City and surrounding areas of LaPorte County here. We were all friends from high school. We went to college separate ways. We all came back to town and decided to start this business here together. We've always been very community oriented and locally focused. We try to always use as much local businesses as we can to help out. Any of the food that we serve in our tap room is, utilizing the local businesses here in town, from printing our business cards and printing our posters, everything we can possibly do, we can. Ingredients that we brew with as well. We run give backs every year, usually month to month, with different organizations and foundations. Just to name a few, the countless animal rescues, the shelters here in town, and then many more. So right now we are currently operating out of our facility that we started in at 2,000 square foot facility at 718 Friar Road on the other side of town. Since we've opened, we've doubled our production twice, and we are now pretty much capped out at about 1,200 barrels a year. One barrel is about 31 gallons, to give you some reference. So that's what we're pushing out of this small little location. We're doing more distribution out of this space than any breweries our size can really push out. But like I said, by getting there, we've really maxed out our space, and we have no room for expansion. Within the last year, we've dropped a small shipping container out back in order just to have more storage so we can fit more stuff in the brewery. But our tap room is not very accommodating because due to its size, and layout and Indiana laws, alcohol laws, we can't offer 21 and over in our place. So we miss out on all those families coming in from Michigan and Illinois where it's legal to be in a brewery with children. And then our patios are really our only seating. And so in the winter, we lose good amount of our business from that. But we maintain our distro, which helps keep us going. And then, our distribution is actually keeping us, we're around 75% of Indiana right now, the whole northern half of the state, and then we get a little bit southern right now. And then that distribution is a big key for us too, because it helps, it's semi-advertising for us. People see the beer out in liquor stores down in Indianapolis and all around, and they try those beers, but they can't get some of the beers that we do as one-offs in our tap room only. So it brings them up here. We get people from all over that, tell us they tried us down there and they want to come up here and, taste the other things they can't. So they come to Michigan City, they come stay. What we're looking at and attempting is the 1215 2nd Street building. This is a mock-up of the building where we would be increasing our taproom space tenfold from what we're doing at the brewery right now, and also increasing our production. Next here, so a little bit of a layout that we have designed. So the benefits of us coming down there would be closer to downtown. We'd be able to, be more involved with the city, be more involved in events that go on in the city more than we are now. Having everybody come to that other side of town, close to that Michigan border, it's not as benefitable that could be here. So we'd be expanding our production, doubling, hopefully hitting around 2,200 barrels a year compared to the 1,200. Continuing our distribution all over the state, probably trying to get to around 100% of Indiana, and then possibly including Michigan and Illinois as well in some distribution in small amounts to help try to bring people more from outside of the state into here too. We would be creating jobs. Right now, we're pretty much all owner operated. It's the four of us you see here. My brother runs the restaurant, and then we have a couple other employees on top of that right now in our small location. Here, on the production and distribution side, because we do all self-distribution right now, so we pack up our own van, we do all our own sales, we deliver all our own beer all over the state. We'd be hiring around 10 to 15 full-time jobs in that area, probably with around a starting salary of $35 a year, and trying to incorporate health insurance for everyone that is working here. Also in the kitchen and the front of house with the bar and the tap room that we would have, we would be probably bringing on another 20 to 25 full-time and part-time employees up there as well. between managers, cooks, and health. Yeah. Also, this tap room is much more accommodating for everyone, families, anyone just coming by to drink, hang out. We're planning for a patio on the front of the building that's visible from the second street. Then an event space in that back left corner that can house seat or standing around 75 to 100 people, depending. Private weddings, private events, possibly concerts too is something we're looking at. Around this area, you have to go to Indy, Detroit, or Chicago to see a decent band concert. So trying to bring some of that traffic here into Michigan City would be one of our main goals here. Yeah. So in closing with this, we see this project not only, helping us grow and be a part of this city more than we have in this past 7 years, but also trying to help, like Skylar said, with this corridor, the eastern corridor of 12. And I just want to sincerely thank, everyone that's been involved in this been involved for this partnership opportunity, and we look forward to continuing to work within our community to help it grow and prosper. And I really want to personally thank Skylar and Chris for helping this project where it is today. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Steve, thanks. I guess I would just open it up for questions from the commission for Steve and his team.
How much equity do you have in this?
In this currently?
Yeah.
Over 10, under 20,000. Right now with architects and lawyer fees that have been working on this project so far.
What kind of wages are you talking about with your employees?
Starting salaries, looking around 35,000 a year salary for any of the full-time production people to start at least, and then obviously growth from there. Yeah, and that would be the production, the full-time staff starting right now, and then hopefully to grow from there. And then the part-time, kitchen staff and stuff like that would be pushing over $15 an hour on start for a lot of those full-time that aren't salary.
Can I ask a question? You said 75 to 100. Is that the capacity, or is that just that one part of the space?
Yeah, the back event space, due to square footage, based on square footage, can possibly hold 75 to 100 people, whether it was like standing room or sitting. And the tap room up front would be closer to 100 to 125 people.
Okay, yeah. So you could possibly have up to 200 people. Up
yep. And then the busy weekends, we'd open that back room as just like overflow of the tap room.
And as far as the patio, because I know you're known for your outdoor events,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you still going to keep the other space, your other facility open to do those things, or are you going to look to move it to this location?
We'd be moving everything over at first, and then hoping to probably incorporate that building, because we own that building too, so we would like to possibly incorporate doing something there. It's just trying to get this project up and running first before we decide what we're going to do with that. But yeah, and looking at still with opening that event space and doing our events indoors now at this spot, there is the parking lot too on the other side of the street that we were looking at. Keeping our events going is something we are known for and we love to do. So,
Next was parking. So
yeah,
where is the parking going to be?
it's right across F Street to the left of the building. If you're looking at the face of the building, there is a lot there that we'd be.
It's part of the project. It's a couple of lots there. It's one big. It's just part of the project, if you will. So it provides parking on one side, the building on the other, essentially.
Yeah, it's all woods right now and need to be completely renovated.
Public might want to know that. That's why I was 200 people with you need parking. So okay, all right. No, thank you. This is great.
You're welcome.
Steve, did I miss it? You do 1,200 barrels now. What will the expansion, do you know, barrel-wise?
Yeah, almost.
How does that help expand? Obviously, more space equals more.
Almost double the production. Looking to be about 2,000 to 2,200 barrels based on the estimates of the tanks we'd be adding and the speed we can go on production with that. So.
Were you looking at having family dining there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the big things we miss out on now with our space is just not being able to accommodate families. And so at this space, we'd be able to have that big tap room can have family seating as well as the 21 and over bar seating as well.
What's the estimated cost of the total project?
Currently, we are still getting a couple bids in, but we're around 1.5 to 1.7 million on the total project of actually us funding that to provide that. So.
Just to, so you guys have already engaged with some financial institutions,
Yes.
And that seems to be fairly positive this time.
Yep.
Right. Good. I will tell you that this is an exciting project. I think for everybody in the room. So thanks for the hard work and your guys' dedication and work with Skylar. I know Skylar has worked hard. I know Mr. Cernick and your attorneys have worked hard too on this project. So I thank them for their hard work because it has been fairly laborious for all of us.
Yes.
For sure. So
Yeah,
I guess I would just ask if there are any additional questions from the commissioners. Do you want to do that? Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, I sent to you on Saturday, and we will make a few more minor revisions to the economic development agreement for this project. That's better. Okay. Basically, as Skylar said, we own this building at 1215 East 2nd Street, and the property itself, or the parcel itself, has across the street parking. I think all total is probably about 3 different areas, but the main part is where the building's going to be. Prior to our ownership, it was basically just an old warehouse that was being used for rental space, but really wasn't doing anything else, and certainly did not assist the city in terms of promoting any type of development in that part of town. When the Burnham folks approached us about an interest in expanding their business in Michigan City, we thought this was a match made in heaven. So it's taken us a while to get to this point, and we have to do some things somewhat creatively. What we're doing today is first, let's just talk about the economic development agreement. It's basically an agreement in which Burnham will invest approximately $1.6 million into this project, minimally, to develop exactly what Mr. Miller just spoke about. The Redevelopment Commission is committed towards improving the water system into the building. The current system, I think, is from the 1930s, so this will make it modernized, but will also allow more flow into the building, given the needs, the capacity needs of a brewery. What is happening from this point forward, if you agree with to enter into this agreement tonight, is they will then have 60 days from today to present to the commission a commitment letter from some lending institution for the project costs. If they can't do that, that probably will be the end of the project. If they can do that, then they will have an additional 60 days in which to proceed with all the other due diligence requirements to get us to the point of closing on the property and closing on this project. Then it starts getting a little more interesting and a little more creative. The first part is that you're entering into the economic development agreement. The second thing you will be doing then at some point in the next 120 days or less is conveying the property to the Economic Development Commission. Why we're doing that is because Burnham needed additional commitment for the overall funding for their loan to get through. And then Clarence and his group have agreed to take over that so allow that to happen. So that's what's taken some of the time on this. Once that is done, there are two other documents that will also need to be approved by the commission. One is an appeal limitation agreement, which I think we're probably about 95% done with the Burnham folks. And then the other is a multi-party agreement, which we're nowhere beginning of starting, given that we need to find out who the lender is first. But I think that would get completed in relatively short order. So basically what we're getting here is the building that we have will be indirectly conveyed to Burnham. Burnham will give us a brand new brewery and restaurant. And all of this will occur in no more than 17 months from top to finish. The construction period is estimated being about 12 months. So from where we are at this point, when we're all looking forward to our first beer at Burnham, will be no less than or no later than 17 months from today.
Precisely.
Thank you, Alan. Any questions for Attorney Cernak? Skylar? Okay. All right. You want to say something? Yes, that being said, any additional questions for Steve and his team? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion on the agreement for the 1215 East 2nd Street project.
I move that we approve the project at 125 East 2nd Street? 1215 East 2nd Street. Project agreement. For the economic development agreement.
Second.
Got a first and a second. I'll take it to a roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barron.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield, aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. So now the hard work starts. You thought speaking in front of us was hard, but now the hard work starts. So, well, congratulations. And you know that Skylar's door is open to work us through this project. So, city engineer and all the other folks. So, congratulations. We look forward to lots of hard work.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I support this project. I'm excited about it. And I commend the board, the commission for doing what you did. You guys are great. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, cheers. Next on the agenda, the 8th Street Michigan Boulevard update and approval. Skylar?
Yes, tonight we have a presentation, and Mr. Andre Blakely is here tonight. This is a project where we have some open land. You may recall we put it out to bid, entertained some bids on it. We have a developer that we've selected to work with, and hopefully we can get the presentation to work tonight. So if we can't get it to work real quick, we can pop to the next item and give them time to kind of get up to date. I'm very excited about this project. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to get some new development, especially along the Trail Creek. This location is at the corner of Michigan Boulevard and 8th Street, on the northeast corner on the Trail Creek side of the Boulevard and 8th Street. So it's a really good project, and I'm very excited to bring it before the public tonight. And I think the board is excited about it as well. So. Hi, Andre. How are you?
Good evening. Thanks for, may I take off one?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me tonight.
I've been itching to talk about this one. So
Well, hopefully we'll live up to expectations. My apologies. There's a few photos in the presentation I think is causing that to go a little slower than usual. There we go.
So Andre, I'm going to hopefully hand it off to you. Introduce yourselves, tell us about the project, and I don't want to steal your thunder. So
Sounds good. Thank you. Good evening, commissioners, and thank you again for the invitation to be here. We've been working for, I want to say several months, but now it's been years. Only a little over a year with the City of Michigan City, the Planning Department, and the Economic Development Commission on this particular site. First, let me say that we're excited about the opportunity to be in Richmond as a company. It's a very fast-growing market. Its close proximity to Chicago is very attractive. And we think we're the best group in a time where there's a lot of uncertainty in the development world, a lot of changes right now. So it really takes someone with the tread and the patience to work through some of the challenges. And forgive me for not introducing myself. I'm Andre Blakely, the president of TRG Community Development, a division of the Richmond Group of Companies. The Richmond Group, just a little history on our company. We've been around for over 30 years. We started out as one of the largest purchasers of the low-income housing tax credit. In addition to the affordable housing product, we're one of the largest apartment owners of market rate development as well. As I mentioned, we were founded in 1986. We're vertically integrated with not only in-house with an in-house investment arm, but we also have full service development, asset management, architectural services, in-house contracting, although that's more of just a quality control function, and a few other disciplines. So with that, we're headquartered in Greenwich, Connecticut. The company has 12 regional offices active in the Northeast, Florida, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, California markets. I oversee the Chicago office. The reason we don't have a Midwest reference there is because I go everywhere. If it has anything to do with community development or community development type focus, I'm typically the one that's brought in. We're nationally recognized as a leader in neighborhood and community redevelopment. As I mentioned, we are vertically integrated. Our Richmond Real Estate Investments, which is our syndication arm, they've raised over $14 billion in equity for investment in over 1,600 apartment projects. We do have that discipline at the table day one, and I think that uniquely positions us, whereas we're able to bring our capital to the table day one. So we don't start a design process and after completing layers and layers of due diligence and then have to find an investor and a lender. But we have those functions and those disciplines and relationships, for that matter, already in-house. On the property management side, and we do manage all of our assets, we're currently managing over 18,000 rental units, and we really try to promote customer service first from all facets. So whether that's dealing with the residents, dealing with our local partners at the city, working with the fire department, the police station, those are all partners from our perspective, and we really try to add a customer service approach. This is the leadership at the Richmond Group. We have Richard Richmond, who's the chairman and founder. I was on a call with Richard today. He had it was about 25 minutes of discussion on inflation. It was pretty interesting. Kristen Miller, who's the president of Richmond Group Development Corporation, our development arm. David Salzman, president of Richmond Real Estate Investments, our syndication arm, and then myself. A little bit about myself, just quickly. I'll be the project lead for the development. We really don't do handoffs at the Richmond Group. I was asked just recently by a neighboring owner in another community where we're doing some work, and they said, well, you know, who do I talk to after construction starts? Who do I talk to after it's leased up? Well, I'm that person. We don't do handoffs. The relationships are vital, especially in the community work. So I think it gets a little confusing when you've got to go here. Once you get to a certain milestone, and then you've got to go find that person once you get to the next milestone. So we try to keep it really simple. We have our central office located in downtown Chicago. I have over 20 years of real estate development experience, mostly in affordable and community development work, but also mixed use, mixed income. And most recently, I've completed $140 million in affordable redevelopment, representing over 878 units of new and preserved housing across Illinois and Arkansas. Currently in our queue, we have about $170 million in design right now. So we're very active in locations right now that include the Virgin Islands, St. Croix. We're doing some work in Norfolk in the Virginia market. And then we're doing some work in Michigan as well. Our 4 principles that guide this community development platform are: our reputation's our lifeline. That's pretty straightforward. Do what you say. Client-friendly approach. I mentioned that. That along with customer service as being, really 2 key core principles, not only for our development arm, but also for our management arm. And then lastly, fair and equitable business terms are key to any long-term partnership. And I think that translates in a multitude of ways, right? When you bring in a partner, yes, there's financial sharing, economic sharing, but community development is holistic, or should be looked at as holistic. And so the opportunities that we're able to bring in terms of local hiring, working with local professionals, we're going to be working with, and sorry to spoil a future slide, we'll be working with Ton and Blank as our general contractor, working with them closely to make sure we hire folks from this community to the extent possible. Our property management side will be selecting on-site property management staff. So rest assured, I won't be bringing anyone from Tampa to Michigan City. I don't know if they would actually come because of the cold, but we'll have our own. We'll select local on-site property management staff. Typically what we do when we go into a new market, we'll just bring that new staff under a regional director. And so we'll assign someone to be the regional director for this area. But aside from that, we'll have all local staff at the property. On the construction management side, I did mention that we have in-house construction capacity, but we don't self-perform. We think it's disingenuous when you go into a new community and you don't offer opportunities to the folks in that community. And so it's really just a quality control function where we oversee the process. We'll act as our own owner's rep. So in addition to construction lenders, inspections, and just a variety of quality control that'll already be in place, we actually provide an extra level of quality control by assigning a full-time owner's rep. Additionally, on the design side, we have in-house full design team, but we don't self-perform. It's really just for quality control purposes and to ensure that the product is developed in accordance with the owner standards. So we have a list of best practices, having done this for over 25, 30 years, 30 years on the syndication side, 20 years on the development side. We've developed all of our best practices. We update those routinely, especially now, considering everything that's going on in the market with increased cost. We're having to find more efficient ways to develop and construct. And so it's constantly evolving. And so as such, we try to update that document often. As I mentioned, we will be using a local contractor for the project, Ton and Blank. And we're excited about working with Ton and Blank. They have a large presence here, and we've been talking to them for over a year. So we're excited to really move forward to the next step. Just a few other development team members, and then I'll go through the project. I have our companies across the top. So the Richmond Group of Companies, Development 4, our property management arm, and asset management function. The other partners that we'll be bringing to the table will be Nelson and Mullins. They're our partnership council based out of Orlando, but they've been doing our legal work for past 20 years. So they're really like outside chief counsel. They oversee every partnership that we do. Hudson Real Estate Advisory Group. Glenn Hudson, who is the principal owner of Hudson Real Estate Advisory Group, acts as TRG's full-time community liaison. And so he'll be working in the communities to make sure that we're hiring locally. How do we oversee that? How do we measure the outcome? Well, that's all his under his purview, and something that will be watched by Glenn Hudson. Hooker de Jong should not be on there, but I think, oh, actually they are. I'm sorry, I'm suffering from deal merge. Hooker de Jong, full service architectural firm based out of Chicago. They will be acting as the project architect. Baker Tilly, the financial consultant. I believe the city of Michigan City uses Baker Tilly for their financial audits and maybe some other compliance items. We use them on mostly all of our development work. They're really great to work with, especially in the affordable market rate real estate space, and really have a strong financial acumen. And then Dominion Due Diligence. So these repeat relationships are really designed to help us move quickly. So we already have our due diligence partner picked out that we work with across the country on several other markets. So we'll be ready to go with ordering our initial due diligence reports and the like. A little bit about the site location. As I mentioned, it's very attractive, first and foremost, because of its close proximity to Chicago. We'll have to do something about the construction. I don't have a solution yet with all of the construction that's going on in Indiana, but I'm sure maybe perhaps by the time that this project is up and running, that construction is done. This is the site on East 8th and East Michigan Avenue. And just showing the close proximity to restaurants, the downtown area. We really think that we can make this an active, vibrant corridor in Michigan City with new housing, new retail, and it's all to complement really some improvements that the city started already, which we appreciate, and that's the new walking trail, which we do not intend to replace. We will have to do a little more site planning to see how we just adopt the path as it is. We're proposing for this first phase initially, 94 units of family housing, a mix of 1s, 2s, and 3s, with some commercial space and comprised in an 8 to 9 story building. We do have subsequent phases planned, so our agreement with the city, I think, will speak to a broader redevelopment on the site that will include potentially up to 200 plus units for a total development cost of around, I think it was $35 to $36 million. That's going up, by the way, 20 to 25% as we speak, but we will nevertheless figure it out. Our design approach is an integrated design approach, and I think we have certain milestones built into our agreement where there will be updates so that you know that the developer is performing and staying on schedule. That's very important. So we'll come back with those updates. As I mentioned earlier, we've really appreciated the working relationship with the planning department. They've been very helpful to get us to this point thus far, and look to take advantage of that relationship and partnership going forward. This is the site, the early site plan. The subsequent phase will have some changes, but our initial phase will be centered and focused on the corner of East 8th Street and Michigan Avenue, and that'll be our family development. Take you through just a few photos, some early renderings that we've produced. I think that's a great view, and really, I forgot to mention the other greatest amenity, and that's the water, right? And Michigan City is surrounded by such a great amenity that folks can enjoy those amenities, especially in the summertime, and that's the water. Should provide an opportunity for great views, rooftop spaces. We really want the ground floor to project and have that commercial-like feel. There's a few additional photos and images of just some of our amenity spaces, the fitness center, business center, some of our standard amenities that we typically equip our buildings with. Really, again, trying to invest in quality of life. You need another second there. Shortly after this approval, and I was explaining this to Mr. Holtz, we'll start our formal design process shortly after, assuming we get tonight's approval. And that process is essentially about 45 days to get to a schematic design package. After that, it's about 90 to 120 days. That's start to finish, no comments in between or drastic changes, which would all take more time, but about 90 to 120 days to get to construction documents. Oh, we're back. Thank you. This is a project in Harlem. I won't spend a lot of time since we lost a little bit there. We really try to be methodical about programming our spaces because we want those spaces to be heavily used and accessed. So we spent a lot of time programming our spaces. On average, those amenity spaces are around 6,000 square feet. That's for the entire package. So gym, meal room, so a nice place to collect packages, our lounge area, which I have some photos of, and some other spaces, usually total about 6,000 square feet on average. And when we have a partner, we actually bring that partner in day one. And let's say we have a nonprofit partner that's in the deal. We'll bring that nonprofit partner in. If that nonprofit partner is occupying space for the purpose of providing services to the residents, well, it's very important that we bring that partner in and to the table day one. This is just our typical amenities, as I mentioned. The manager's office, leasing center, the learning center, the multi-purpose room, lounge room, fitness center, mailroom package area, and depending on the project, it may or may not feature a pool. This is just a image of our typical clubhouse space. And I always have to emphasize the lighting here, because this is all accomplished through just larger windows, right? And you're able to capture this beautiful lighting, and really, I think that makes the space. This is our typical lounge area, how we've designed that to give it more of like a concierge hospitality-like feel. And that's what the residents enjoy. This is our typical fitness center. Some other spaces. So development timeline. As I mentioned, we started this, and I had to rub my eyes a bit earlier today, but we started this in April of 2020, and we really have enjoyed just the time with the city and staff just in getting to this point. It hasn't been easy. We started looking at various sites, and then we all agreed that East 8th and East Michigan Avenue would be is the prime opportunity. The open solicitation that was required, that was in January, and assuming that we're able to secure option and consent from the commission to move forward with the redevelopment agreement, we would start our due diligence in early December in anticipation of a plan review process in May, and then a site acquisition and financial close in September, and shortly after groundbreaking. The construction period is estimated around 13, 14 months. That depends on when you start digging and where winter's at, right? As if the ground starts to get hard, it gets very difficult. So we at least like to start a lot of the infrastructure work up first if we can in the fall, because if we start in later, that typically delays the project. Then lastly, we would target a grand opening after construction completion in March of 2024. So as I mentioned, I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. We're excited about the opportunity to be here. This is truly an opportunity, and developers should see it as that. It's a fast-growing market, and we can't wait to roll up our sleeves. Thank you.
Andre, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Nice presentation. So just open it up for any questions from the commissioners.
If I could just add some things, I mean, beforehand, like one of the things I really enjoyed when Andre brought this project to us, we first started talking, which, yeah, it has been a while, but there was a lot of, we were considering multiple sites, and they really liked this site. And the one thing that really attracted me to it is the long-term hold of their projects. That's an important thing from a city standpoint. The question's always, will we incentivize something, and why does it look bad in 5 years? Well, this is a long-term hold. They provide their own management staff. They're going to manage this asset just like it's an asset of any of their other assets. And that, to me, is a really attractive proposal from a standpoint of assuring that in the future we have a good-looking product into the future. I think, too, you saw some of the renderings, but Andre's been really upfront with me. I mean, they've given us access already we've had discussions with your architects, so the architects they want to bring in who specialize in designs around water. And that's really what they're trying to take advantage of. And I mean, I think to some extent, they've already done a lot of due diligence has already been done. This is on a bus route. It's on the trail. It shows a commitment that they've already kind of made and not even been, given the full commitment to them yet. So, in my opinion, it's a really good project, and I think that they're asking all the right questions. They ask me all the right questions. We're moving through the entitlement process already. So it's been great working with them and Glenn as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Connor. Any questions from the commissioners?
Have we decided on the terms yet?
I think at this point, what we would entertain this evening, there's a development agreement that's pretty far down the path. I think what we would look to approve tonight is the concept and moving to a development agreement that should be pretty quick and getting completed.
I think what you're doing tonight is
Alan.
basically saying to TRG. I think what you're basically saying tonight to TRG is that we are going to give them an exclusive right to this property, these parcels, subject to the presentation and the usage that's been discussed tonight, but then also the development of of some kind of an agreement between the city and TRG. At this point, I think, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're waiting to hear from you on the next draft, I believe.
And I do have those comments, and so I'll be sending those to you shortly.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll make sure you're not waiting on me, that's all.
Have you decided on the mix of housing as far as workforce or affordable or?
We're targeting mostly workforce. So what does that mean? And I think I'm glad you raised that question because I didn't cover that in my presentation. Workforce, I think it's interpreted. Maybe there's slight differences of interpretation is what I was intending to say. But workforce housing at its core is essentially that you have to work in order to pay rent. And so the incomes that we'll be targeting will be 60% all the way up to 120% of area median income. What does that look like in rents? Well, we're going to be offering 1s, 2s, and 3-bedroom units. So those rents will range from $750 to around $1,175. Now, granted, we still need to do and complete some market due diligence. That's the max of what we can charge within that income strategy that I just described. But that's workforce housing to us. I mean, it just happens to be that their rent is discounted a little bit, which in this time and what we're going through right now and I just mentioned an inflation discussion that I was a part of earlier, that's outpacing everything. And as reported recently, there's not an entire place in the country where it's affordable to live. And we're talking about workforce families. We're talking about policemen, the mom that works at Walgreens. We're talking about the teacher, the day laborer. There's not a place in the country that's affordable to live. And so what we're simply doing is we're targeting that same population, and we're hoping to be able to discount the rents to the extent that it is affordable. And affordable, how is that defined? So we defined affordable in this country as a person should never pay more than 30% of their monthly income for housing. That's affordable.
Question?
I would just add to that affordable piece that our housing study that we did recently. I'm just excited that you guys are adding these units like that and are focusing on that mid-range workforce people that live here, because there's a lot of people that in our low end of housings that are paying considerably more than 30% of their income right now. And the price range you just said right now, and a lot of our lower income are paying that right now for sometimes substandard housing. So, I mean, to get this ball rolling on new development that's intended for people that are getting up, putting his boots on every day, going to work, and can live in a nice, safe, clean, well-managed place. It's just outstanding. So I'm really hoping we can do whatever we can to help you move this forward, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I want to add thank you, Andre, for coming today. It was it's been a long time coming. It's great that we're finally at this point. And I just want to echo something that Skylar said. And I've had this conversation with some folks. We are notorious. We have seen developments that they come, build it, and they leave. And it was refreshing when you shared that and that fair and equitable piece of it. And first of all, just your reputation, like you said, is important. So with that being said, I'm going to move for approval of the concept and to enter into the final contract negotiations at this time.
Any additional? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Second.
We'll go for the first and a second. We'll go to a roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barrett.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield. Aye. Andre, congratulations.
Thank you, Andre.
I would just reiterate, there's been a lot of hard work on a lot of projects. Skylar has his hands full right now. Alan has his hands full right now with things. And so I feel really good that we got to the finish line with 2 deals tonight. So we look forward to the future and the total team of TRG that's here tonight. So I appreciate it very much. We'll get to the next step with getting that agreement buttoned up and completed in the next by the next meeting for sure. Yeah. Next on the agenda, double track betterments project approval.
All right, so tonight, before you guys, I know it's been a long time coming, but you can actually see the project moving forward right now with all the demos that are happening. Just today, we give approval through the Board of Works to close down the the sidewalk in front of the historic train station downtown. They're going to start to take off that terracotta. That's happening. So you can see the progress is being made. So before us tonight, what we need to make a decision on is that as part of the double track project, there are going to be certain improvements made in our right of way. And rather than just have them be simple in design or plain in design would probably be a better way to explain it, such as just concrete or galvanized poles, galvanized fencing versus decorative fencing. Before us, what we agreed to with NICD was we entered into a betterments contract with them, and we have committed to basically provide an additional sum of money to make those improvements look better. Simply put, they're going to be betterments to make them look better than just the simple designs. It's the way the federal government works, and the state government works the same. If you want something to look a little bit better, you have to pay for it because they're going to provide the base product. So before us tonight, we have 6 betterments that were bid out as the total. They were actually bid as bid alternatives to the base bid for the downtown project. So they weren't bid out by us. They were bid out as part of the overall NICD project for the downtown project, or NICD bid for the downtown project. So before tonight, I'm going to read off the bid alternatives and what we're asking for approval tonight first, and then I'll ask for the monetary amount that we are going to approve. So the first one is bid alternative A, which is to provide special paver treatments at the 11th Wabash, 11th Washington, 11th Franklin Street intersections. Bid alternative B is to provide special paver treatments at the York cul-de-sac. Bid alternative D is to provide a form liner finish on concrete traffic barrier along north side of eastbound 11th Street. Bid alternative E is to provide stained finish on concrete traffic barrier along the north side of eastbound 11th Street. Bid alternative F is to provide ornamental decorative railing system along the north sidewalk of 11th Street. Bid alternative G is to provide ornamental railing system on concrete traffic barrier. All of these amount to just making the project that's already going to be built in our downtown and through our downtown look much better than it was originally designed. The total costs that we're looking for tonight, all of these items add up to a grand total of $2,204,011.51. We are not going to select one of the bid alternatives simply because it deals with the sidewalk around our station block, and currently right now we have that out to RFP, so we will deal with that at a later time. I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions from the commissioners?
I have one question. Is this a one-time payment, or is this spread out as the work is completed?
Yes, my understanding is that it will come to us in invoices as the work is completed. I did ask that question, and that was the response I got. I think it's just going to be kind of like when they come in and build the barrier, they'll probably bill us because they'll be stamping it. It'll basically be a stamped concrete with a form liner. That's what it is. It's going to look, my understanding is it's going to look like brick and then be stained to look like brick rather than just be concrete. And then it'll have a decorative black railing on top of it rather than something less decorative, which goes with the theme of downtown. And then on the north side, I'm trying to explain this, I wish I had a picture. On the north side of the tracks, we eliminated a concrete barrier for some of it, and we're going to put in just decorative fencing through the station block area where it'll be a little bit more pleasant to be next to. So.
Yeah, I guess I'll make a quick comment. We went through this process and looked at some alternatives, and chain link fences and the like was not what we wanted with this world-class project. It is we have the ability with some of the TIF money to make this happen. This is a world-class project, and we need to make sure that we keep it that way. And this just makes a lot of sense. So.
I'm sorry, I just might add, these are more, when we originally talked about this, we broke them into hardscape betterments and kind of more softscape betterments, softscaping being things we could put in later, trees, shrubbery, artwork, things of that nature. As long as we make room for it, we can install it later. These are items that have to be built right now along with the project because they're basically integrated into the project.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Helen. Skylar, first, with respect to the $2.2 million, where is that coming from?
The $2.2 million will come out of two funds. They will come out of, a portion will come out of the North TIF Fund. A portion will come out of the South TIF Fund.
And how do we justify that as far as coming out of the South TIF Fund for a project that is primarily, and certainly the station block itself is in the North TIF?
The state the South Shore Station, the expansion of the double track, is an economic development tool for Michigan City that not only supports economically our North TIF, but it supports all of our TIFs. It supports our whole entire city from a standpoint of economic development. And I think that's the justification of how we are going to justify this. It's connecting both our bus routes and our transit routes to the station. So.
And we're getting that from the double track project, but why the betterments and how does that affect economic development?
The betterments make it look better in our downtown so that we can continue to invest in our downtown as we always have. Hopefully as we continue to do. We want our downtown to look good, and we want it to be attractive and be a place that people want to be and invest.
And let me say one more thing on that too. We go back several years of when the double track was first being discussed in Michigan City. One of the critics or nays on doing this project was the very same thing that you guys just both said, and that is chain link fences. It's going to look ugly. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be just a regular train stop. And in and of themselves, train stations are not all that attractive, and particularly along the tracks themselves. The betterments themselves go towards answering those demands that were being put forth on this project, not only for our local citizenry, but also for future developers and attracting developers into Michigan City. So I want to make that point clear as well.
That's a great point. Absolutely. Agree with you. And we committed as the Redevelopment Commission to take on that project and make sure that happened.
That was a nice cross-examination.
Well, I move for approval of the double track betterments project, excluding alternative C, right? For the scope of what we have in the package.
If we could spell out specifically the North TIF, how much money, and the South TIF, how much money?
I was going to split it $1 million out of North TIF, $11,204,011.51 out of South TIF.
I'll make that part of my motion.
Second to that motion.
Having a first and a second, do a roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barron.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield. Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, signing selection committee for the 11th Street Station Block. I'll just push that over to Skylar.
So as part of the, so as you know, we have an RFP out. It's on the, I guess you could say, is on the streets right now. It is for what we're calling 11th Street Central. The 11th Street Central project is an RFP for an alternative to just a parking garage. It is for a mixed-use building located or proposed mixed-use building from a private developer that includes a garage to be located at the station block, which we've been talking about tonight. As part of that project and as part of the due diligence as we move forward with selecting a developer, we really need to kind of vet that through some various people, and we have really kind of given a lot of thought to whom those individuals might be. And I've put together a selection committee that will ultimately make a recommendation to the Redevelopment Commission for whom we should hear, what developer we should hear, and be invited to do a presentation to us. I know Ruth is on the line as well. I've spoken to Ruth a lot about this. We've had numerous conversations, thank you, Ruth, about this and the makeup of this committee. Ruth, did I leave anything out? Am I okay? Is that good? Good
No,
summary?
this is, it's a good summary, and I just, the selections that you came up with are just, you haven't said their names yet, and I think you plan to, but it's just, it represents just the breadth and depth of what Michigan City represents. You've got people from various walks of life, various relationships to Michigan City, all devoted to Michigan City, whether it's park boards or the arts or the historic, or just general governance. And I think having such a strong, balanced selection committee says a lot about the city itself and how there's a shared commitment to making this, as Chris correctly says, really a world-class project. So I think the recommendations that you've made, as you've described them to me, are an enhancement to the process, and will end up yielding a better outcome than it would be without having that kind of wonderful mix.
Thank you, Ruth. So tonight I'm going to announce who our selection committee are. The first one is Rose Tejeda. She's an interior designer. She's also an MCMA board member, and she's from Michigan City. She left for a while, but she has moved back here now, and she runs her business here. I think Rose brings a keen eye for design and downtown urban design. I think she will be a great member of that, of this committee. The other members are Matt Kubik. Mr. Kubik is a Purdue University professor emeritus, but more important, well, that's pretty important, but he also taught numerous courses in urban design and architecture. So I think he can help us make a very good selection, and I think he will have a keen eye toward what fits into our downtown and what makes sense in our downtown, and I know that he's an advocate for our downtown as well. Mr. Phil Latchford is our park board president. And the reason the parks are on here, Phil represents not only our parks, but I think thinking collectively about the national park, other connections to our city parks, things of that nature. But basically the South Shore is going to be, when the double tracking is completed, it's also going to bring more visitors to our parks, both our city parks and the national park. And I think he will add that dynamic with thinking about that and how all that functions collectively. Mr. Chris Chatfield, who's the president of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission. Mr. Bryant Dabney, who is our first ward city council in Michigan City, Indiana. Mr. John Hendricks, who is the vice president of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission, but he also he's on our historic review board, which was a very important piece of this RFP and a very important piece with respect to making sure we're choosing the right design and bulking sale, mass, things of that nature in our downtown. The Honorable Mayor Dwayne Perry, who's the mayor of the city of Michigan City, and myself as the planning director. Our ex officio members will be Mr. Mike Nolan, Miss Sherry Ziller. Mr. Mike Nolan is the CEO of NICD, and Miss Sherry Ziller is the CEO of the RDA, recently appointed. So, and then finally Ruth Rama, who is our NCI Neighborhood Capital Institute. She's our consultant with this project. And I might add, she's been running our RFP process, and it's been going great. Thank you so much for that. And she will also be running the process of selection with this committee. So we will do that in December. But these are the people that I've kind of put together, actually not just me, collectively with Chris and Ruth, and kind of thinking through what makes sense in who can help us guide this project and get us a good choice.
Good group. Look forward to the next steps. I've just asked if there are any comments from the commission on this.
Move unanimous consent for all the proposed members.
It's a motion. Do we need looking for a second? Thank you. Do a quick roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch. Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barron.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield, aye. The ayes have it. Thank you, Ken, for that. Skylar, the approval Department of Redevelopment Salary Ordinance Order 4, 2022.
Yes.
This is the salary ordinance for your staff, which includes myself, Ms. Sherry Wilson, and our assistant city planner, or sorry, our assistant director, planning director, assistant planning director. Let me get that out real quick. It also includes an administrative 1 position and a CDBG coordinator, which comes out of our budget, but actually it's reimbursed to our budget through the CDBG, and it also includes 5 commissioners. The only change to this is that the administrative assistant 1 it was increased from $14.75 an hour to $18.22 an hour, which is $14.57.60 biweekly with 26 pays. That's the only thing that changed on this salary ordinance. Other than that, it's the same as last year's. The reason we changed is that you might recall that the city council just recently adopted their salary ordinance, and our administrative assistants bumped up to about $19.22 an hour, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that correct? Yeah, $19.22 an hour. And really, we just need to get that $14.75. We need to get it up where it can be just as competitive as the others. At the $14.75 rate, I'm not getting. I'm getting interviews, but I'm not getting takers of that opportunity. So, and it is a full-time job in our office that they help out. They help do lots of different things in our office with respect to the redevelopment commission, and sometimes other duties as assigned, I would say. So. That's really it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Having a first and a second. Any comments or questions for Skylar? Hearing none. Go through roll call. Angie Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Michael Mack.
Aye.
John Hendricks.
Aye.
Ken Barron.
Aye.
Chris Chatfield, aye. The ayes have it. The salary order for 2022 has been approved. I dare to ask this question for the next item, but the report from our legal counsel.
I'm done. The only thing I need to say is that
I rest my case.
the only thing I need to say is that immediately preceding this meeting tonight, we did have an executive session. No items were discussed, not approved by the open door law, and no decisions were made. Thank you.
Thank you. Report from director.
I don't want to say much, but I just do want to thank the commission and for approving these two wonderful. These are great projects we approved tonight. We should be really proud of ourselves, and you should be proud of yourselves. I know these are hard. They're hard. Redevelopment is hard. It's a tough, long road to get to the project where you can announce it and really be excited about it. But we did it tonight, and like I said, we should be very proud of that. We've kept a hometown business here and helped them expand. People that are going to invest in our city and chose to invest in our city in the first place. We're also approving the second project, which is Andre's project, the Richmond Group, which fills a gap in our, really is a gap in our spectrum of housing that we really need in this community. And I think as long as we keep plugging away and plugging those gaps of our spectrum of housing, when I say spectrum of housing, single family apartments, condos, townhomes, things of that nature, where people, when they want to come to our community, can choose where they want to live and how they want to live. It really is going to be important in the future that we keep plugging away at that. And I think we took the first step in really plugging that gap, and as Mr. Mack alluded to, we have a housing study that tells us what we need to plug. We just need to be really insistent and intentional about what we're going to promote and fund and plug, how we're going to plug those gaps. So thank you all.
Thanks, Scott. As for any public comment this evening? Any public comment this evening? Thank you. Any comments from anybody online? All right, hearing none, we'll close public comment. Commissioner's comment. I will call on Tom Domkowski first, as you hung in there tonight. Thank
I
you.
love that. You got a former teacher and principal as a person that wants to get home sometime tonight or not leave my wife there that long. But once again, I saw a couple of things online about Marquette Mall and how people have all these great memories of being there and things they were involved in there. And yes, I did take my firstborn and my secondborn around there in a stroller a lot of times, and we visited that place. We did business there. But the things that are happening now, hopefully, will provide them with so many great memories above Marquette Mall that I don't think you will recognize and find any comparison between Marquette Mall and the things that are happening now in Michigan City. These projects are fantastic. I do like Andre's presentation, because if new families come, that helps our school system, and I'm all for that. So we're headed in a fantastic direction, and you're doing a great job. And thank you for helping have me be part of that again. Thank you.
No, we appreciate it, Tom. Thanks so much for your comments. Much appreciated. I'll just go down the line.
Well, I would just echo what Mr. D, and I'm sorry, I have to, that's what I've always called him. So anyway, just echo what he's saying, what he has said, but also, I mean, we've been waiting for this, and this is exciting. We may not show it, but we've been waiting on this moment for a long time, to make these announcements and not being able to say much. So I appreciate Burnham Brewery, Burnham, for their tenacity. We got to get through this still over this time period, but they've been working hard, and like they said, they are committed to the community. And again, with the Richmond Group and with TRG, we don't want to have apartment complexes that we have some in the city that go through management, like a fast food restaurant, as far as hiring students that are graduating, moving to college. They come and go all the time. And this way we can have some consistency, and a management group that has a reputation. They're putting their money where their mouth is with this one. And they do good work. So I'm just super excited that we're finally able to move forward. Also with the station block, the betterment piece, I did, what Alan said was impactful in the sense that we had naysayers that said they didn't want an ugly station, and now we have to do what we need to do to make sure we give them a beautiful project that we can all be proud of moving forward. So I appreciate everybody's time and effort spent on this. It's been a long time, so more to come. This is just the two of many. Yeah, preview. Thank you, Skylar. Bye. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Angie. I'll go to John Hendricks.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo some of that also and just say it's great when you can bring in two projects in the same night, one that's going to bring in a business and a second one that's going to bring in the patrons for the business. So it's really what redevelopment's all about, just improving the economy and the local economy, improving our city.
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Mack.
I'll just ditto what everyone else said in the interest of time. We're doing a good job and the city's growing and it's being managed pretty well, I would think, this process. I mean, it's been the people that we've been talking to that the public hasn't seen. There's a lot of good stuff coming up on the books. We should be proud of the city and what's coming up.
Thank you. Mr. Barron?
You guys said it all. Let's go home.
Yeah. I would say that too. So my parting comment is yeah, we got there. Skylar worked hard, and everybody at this table around us, and with Ruth and everybody else, we really did accomplish a lot. And there's a couple more. There are a number of other projects that hopefully in the next 2 to 3 months we're going to be able to announce those too. And so I look forward to that. And so thank you, everybody. The next meeting of the Redevelopment Commission is December 13th, 2021 at 5 p.m. in Chambers Council Chambers. And I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All approved.